So I hope you liked this video. For more information, click the link in the description.
You guys, especially the Spark owners out there, is there's a new firmware update, particularly for the battery. So I wanted to kind of go over this real quick, just to kind of give everybody a heads up of this. So basically, firmware update for DJI Spark. A new firmware update will be made available for the DJI Spark this week. When prompted, the DJI Go 4 app users with internet connectivity will be able to download the new firmware to update their aircraft's battery firmware. Spark users should complete this firmware update before September 1st. This is a mandatory firmware update, so there must be some sort of problem. Firmware update will maximize flight safety so that users can have enjoyable flying experiences. So I click I know, and it says that new firmware is ready. And so I'm doing screen recording, so I'll have this overlaid on the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to enter it. So I'm going to go ahead and allow it to download now. So it's going to download the firmware. And so there's a number of updates, and again, I'll have this on the screen. I'm not going to read through each one of them. So it's almost downloaded, so I'm going to start updating. Now, connect the aircraft remote controller if you have one. Yep, I'm good on the battery, so I'm going to start and hit start. Connect the aircraft remote controller if you have one, and confirm the aircraft battery is over that. So yes, I do have that. So this battery is, you can see the lights on the battery, it is full, and this keeps wanting to give me a tip, so I'm not sure if it's started or what. Okay, so now we're starting the firmware update, so you can see the progress on it. So what we'll have to do is we'll have to go through each and every battery. Now I have 4 batteries. Now while it's doing this update, what I want to point out is a couple of things that I've done for my battery management. Is number one, I've labeled all my batteries. So I have, obviously one is in the unit right now, so I have 2, 3, 4. I just use a label maker and put them on here so I can track when I got the batteries and sort of their history a little bit. The DJI Go app will also keep track of the batteries too, either serial number, but I like to have this so I know which batteries have been flown, which batteries are in the charger, which batteries are being used, so I have these set up like that. So I'd highly recommend that. You know, the other thing is I've got the Fly More package, so I got the 3 chargers, so I can, you know, charge all 3 at a time, then swap out the 4th one. I'm going to probably do a couple more batteries, but we'll see how that goes. So far, I find usually my flight experience, I get around an hour with 4 batteries, roughly, maybe a little bit short by the time I switch them out and everything. So that's typically enough field flying time, at least I've experienced. So I've been pretty happy with that. Okay, so with the Android, I could only make it to 5%, and it kept failing, and I kept resetting the controller and the copter and everything. So I'm switching over to my iPhone 5S, and I'm going to say update now. And okay, on the iPhone, I'm getting a failed error code of 0x and then a bunch of zeros afterwards. And if I retry, I just seem to keep getting the same error. So one of the things I'm going to try doing is use the Wi-Fi, switch over from the OTG to the Wi-Fi. Okay, so now I've switched over to Wi-Fi from the OTG cable on the iPhone 5S, and now it seems to be updating. So I'm now at 12% and it's steadily counting up. Now I tried doing the same thing with the Samsung over here, and it failed going with the Wi-Fi. So, but I have been able to get the iOS device or the iPhone 5S to work to do the updating. It's now at about 20%, and so it does seem to be that it's counting through and incrementing and going up. It is doing it rather slowly. So we'll see if this works. Now, the interesting thing is, I don't know if you've noticed it over here. I'll move it over. I don't know if you could see the light. For some reason, it goes red, then it goes back to green, and then it goes to red a couple times. I'm not sure if that's what it's supposed to do or if that's part of the problem. But it's now up to 30%, so we'll kind of keep an an eye on it here for another minute or so to see what happens. So I've got number 1 battery now. I've got to go through this for 4 batteries, so I'm hoping that this whole thing actually goes a little bit smoother on the next batteries. I'm going to stick with the Wi-Fi connectivity and hopefully just swap out the batteries and then allow it to update. So let's see what happens. Okay, I wanted to come back. You're kind of bouncing a little bit. Notice the light is red again. So that means it's disconnected. Now I'm at 42%. Now it's 43%, so it still seems to be 44. It still seems to be incrementing while the light is red. So I don't know if this is just indicating something or if connectivity is being lost with the copter. But you can see the lights on the copter are blinking. And so it looks like it's doing its update piece. It is now at almost 50%. Again, this is taking quite a while to go through and load. So the fan's now shut off of this at 49. The light's gone back to green. Now it's just beeped. It's at 52. So it obviously is doing something here. And hopefully it's a good thing because it seems to be going faster now. So I'm at 58 already. It took a long time just to get to 50, but now it's already at 60. And the copter is beeping. So we'll see where this takes us. Now it's reached 97 on the phone. I don't know if you can see that. So it's reached 97. The light is green, but it's been 97 for several minutes now. The copter, the lights on the copter are all appearing red, as you can see here. So I'm not sure if it's now stuck again or something, but again, the green light would indicate that it's connected, but the copter isn't doing anything, and this has now been probably 4 or 5 minutes stuck on 97. So let's see where it goes. Okay, now what I did is I rebooted the copter. I turned the power off and turned it on while this was still connected. And I don't know if you can see this, but it now says update complete, please manually restart your aircraft. So I wonder if, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to restart the aircraft again. I wonder if there isn't something in the application that got to that 97% and needed the aircraft restarted, because as soon as I restarted the aircraft, it immediately completed its installation. So it is reading update complete. So I've now restarted the copter and it says update complete. So I'm going to enter device, and I've entered device. It says aircraft disconnected. I still have the red light. It's doing its little setup flash over here. So let's see what happens once it connects. So I haven't turned the controller on or off, nor have I disconnected the DJI Go 4 app from the controller. Okay, so I'm now connected. Aircraft status normal. Naturally it's in ADI mode since it's in my basement. And air move, calibrate compass. Yeah, that's normal because it's so it's wanting me to calibrate the compass. So I don't know if this is an expected outcome of this firmware upgrade or not. So I don't know. You might want to double check this if you get a compass calibration error. So again, I'm not sure what the firmware has done. I want to run through another battery real quick and see what happens. Okay, one of the things that I think, okay, now it's back after, well, it's reconnected and restarted. All right, so the compass calibration error is back with switching the battery. So I think it's something in the firmware which had done it. So overall status, cannot take off, battery firmware update required. So, all right, let's go ahead and see how this, I'm just going to restart the DJI Go 4 app. And so I'm going to hit this and let's see what it says on this time around. I want to see if this time around it's a little bit more streamlined than the last. And so compass aircraft status, overall status, cannot take off. I'm going to ignore the no fly database right now. Once again on battery 2, I'm now stuck at 97%. Interestingly enough, if you look at the back of the battery, their two center lights are locked on, and it doesn't allow me to turn off the copter in this case. So I press and then I do a long hold, and notice the copter does not power down. And it's been sitting at 97 now for several minutes, like the first time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the battery right out, and notice that the lights still stay lit on the battery. So I'm not sure that that's a good or bad thing. So I'm going to reinsert the battery, and the copter immediately powers back up upon insertion of the battery. Now, one of the things you'll notice is this now counted up to 99 since reinsertion of the battery. But those two center lights are still lit, and it's still hanging at 99%. And now notice instead of all red, so I've got the front blinking yellow now, and it's just still holding at 99%. Now see, it's dropped down back to 97. So I'm not quite sure what to make out of that, so I'm not having any better luck on the second battery. Okay, what I've done is I've actually reset the controller, because I still couldn't turn the copter off. So I reset the controller, reset the DJI Go 4 app. Now I'm up to 99%. So update completed successfully. So I'm not sure why it's going through all these gyrations to update the battery. And I want to check something here. So no positioning anti-mode. I want to see if the latest firmware. It's not giving me the compass calibration error this time around, now that it's gone through the second battery, which is interesting. I'm going to probably, when I go out in the field, recalibrate the battery. Recalibrate the compass. I'm still trying to figure this out. So I think, long story short, there's a couple different things to, if you're having problems with this, and again, these are all at your own risk that I found, is you notice that the battery is now back to its normal status. So if it gets to 97%, or if it gets to some percentage that's rather high, I suggest resetting the copter and see if it moves forward. If that still doesn't work, or the copter locks you out, reset the controller and the DJI Go 4 app. Let the controller, follow it in this order. Let the controller restart, then connect to it with the DJI Go 4 app. I tried it other way around, did not work. So the order was important. The other thing is, for some reason, the OTG isn't working with the firmware upgrades. I had to switch to Wi-Fi and connect to the Spark via Wi-Fi to do the firmware. I've done firmware upgrades in the past by OTG, so I'm not sure what the problem is here. So I've done 2 batteries now out of the 4. Both have given me issues, and again, it sort of increments to 97%, and then there's a problem. I couldn't get the Android version to work. Android version stopped at 5%. I have no idea why. I tried OTG, I tried wireless, and I got the same results. I had to switch to iOS to get it to work. So I don't know, maybe it is the Android device. I haven't taken the time to try other Android devices. I just switched to the iOS. So if you're having problems, these are some of the options to maybe help you deal with those problems. Because again, I've gone through 2 batteries. I've ran into the same problem on both batteries. So if you have questions, hit me up in the comments below. I'd happy to try to answer them. Also, subscribe's coming up over there. Don't forget to subscribe and keep you up to date on all this stuff. And, lunch today was just a bologna sandwich. So I don't know what you guys are thinking, but I think I'm going to have an egg roll with my dinner.